Welcome to What's the Huge Deal Sports Podcast. My name is Hunter Brownsey, and alongside me, as always, is Parker Francis and Johnny Lennox as we break down Week 10 of the NFL and discuss what was likely the game of the year. But before we do, how are you both doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Parker?
I'm just fantiddly-tastic.
I'm excited for Thanksgiving break. Very, very excited.
I get 2 whole days.
Me too. But I will be spending my 2 days in Green Bay, Wisconsin to support the Green Bay Packers and probably
Wrong
watch
week.
them.
That's not even the right week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot. I get 2 back-to-back. I get 2 4-day weekends back-to-back, so I'm very excited.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for the 3-day work week.
I get 2 of them.
Yeah.
I think I get counting weekends. I get 9 days off, but if you don't count weekends, I think I get 5 for Thanksgiving break.
I wish.
If we're ready to hop into it, how about we hop into those fantasy shocks, Mr. Brownsy?
All right. As we all expected, Christian Watson is first up on the list with 107 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns, and 32 fantasy points.
That guy.
He's not been great this year. I think he's no doubt had his drop issues, but this performance could potentially be a breakout for him. He's so big, so tall and strong that and fast. He's really
fast as shit.
And so that combination is going to get him open. It's just a matter of not like he struggles tracking the football.
He can also do backflips and pads.
Yeah. Yes, he can.
That's very cool.
Yes. And then we have CeeDee Lamb. He had 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, 38 fantasy points. Christian Kirk, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns, 31 fantasy points.
Go Jags.
I love the Jaguars.
And then we have Chris Godwin, 71 yards and a touchdown, 19 fantasy points. Nothing super, super crazy, but potentially his breakout game as he struggled after his ACL injury. And then we have Jonathan Taylor, which he probably went first overall in most fantasy drafts, but with injuries in his way. He had kind of a rough year thus far, but this week he had his best performance since week 1 with over 150 all-purpose yards and a touchdown. So that's why he made the list. It's kind of his comeback story.
No defenses this week?
No defenses this week.
None of them cracked the top 5? That's tough. Well, if you want, we can just hop right into what very well could be the game of the year, and the Vikings and the Bills. Back and forth game. One of the most exciting fourth quarters I think there really ever has been. I mean, what a game that was. Justin Jefferson went absolutely ballistic in this game, had over 200 yards in the entire game, had a touchdown, maybe the best catch since Odell Beckham Jr.'s back in his rookie year.
I'd put it over Odell.
You put it over?
I would.
I'm not going.
Did you really?
Taking everything into account, yeah. I mean, if he doesn't catch that, game's over. They lose.
That is true. The situation. Sorry, he did not have 200 yards. He had 193 yards, but close enough.
Oh, so you're a fucking idiot. Okay.
No, a fraud.
Yeah. Speaking of frauds, the Philadelphia Eagles, but we can never mind that.
We'll talk about that later. Yeah, I mean, what a game this was. I mean, just to have that catch for Jefferson and then have the drive of his life, and what, he have 3 catches for like 40-something yards on that last drive to set them up at the 1-yard line for them to not get it, and then the fumbled snap ending in a touchdown for the Vikings, giving Josh Allen 37 seconds to drive down the field and get a field goal, and he did way more than that. He got him like a 35-yard chip shot to set it to overtime. Just an unbelievable game from both sides. Really just an outstanding game, and I cannot believe the Bills lost it. I really can't.
Yeah, I think that it shows that the Vikings are true contenders, which I'm sure, most people thought they were, but I know there was some doubt. And them beating the Bills this week was huge. And for Josh Allen supposedly hurting his arm, his UCL, he looked pretty good arm-wise, arm talent-wise. Decision-making, that has nothing to do with his arm. But, yeah, it was a great game. I would say no doubt the game of the year.
So far, yeah.
If anything tops that, I'll be in shock.
Yeah, I mean, just the ending in general was just outstanding. I mean, what a game.
Like you said, Johnny,
talking about
There was like 3 or 4 times you thought the game was over, and
Yeah,
it
I
would
mean,
just
fourth
never
and
end.
18. It's 4th and 18,
It looks
and
like a pick.
you throw a jump ball to Justin Jefferson that looks like an interception, and he somehow one-handed fights the DB for it all the way to the ground, pulls it into his body. That was I can't even put it into words. We were watching that game, and I think I stood up off the couch, and I think I was the only one that knew he caught that ball at first, and then my dad was like, "Wait, he caught that?" And then we watched the replay, and it's just the craziest catch I've ever seen live because I was not watching the Odell catch live, so that's the
I
craziest catch
was.
I've ever seen live. That's the craziest catch I've ever seen live.
It was one of the moments that was like I felt like it was a glitch in the system, and it
Yeah.
kind of messed with my brain being able to watch Justin Jefferson haul that into the ground. It was a one-handed catch, and the way he was able to have enough strength there to keep that football in his hands and off the ground was just
I'm saying keeping that ball off the
mind-blowing.
ground is crazy. I can't believe he kept that ball in the air. Unreal. But I mean, to talk about the game in general, it was not really back and forth until about the third or fourth quarter. I think the Bills had like a 20-point lead, 17-point lead, and Josh Allen was kind of cooking. He was having a pretty good game. Made a bad decision every once in a while, but 330 yards for him in total. It seemed like they had the game pretty much in the bag. He had 84 yards on the ground as well. He had a dump off touchdown to Devin Singletary. It looked like they had this game pretty well taken care of, and then Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson just kind of did their thing. They broke out in the second half. Their rushing game was insane. Dalvin Cook averaged 8.5 yards on the ground. Justin Jefferson, 10 catches for 193 yards through the air. It was a very back and forth game, especially the fourth quarter. Both quarterbacks, though, had some troubles with accuracy. I know early in the game, Kirk Cousins had a total airmail shot to KJ Osborne that turned into a pick. I think he had 2 airmail shots to KJ Osborne that turned into picks that really could have ended the game right there. But the Bills let him climb back in it. They made some mistakes later in the game, and obviously the turnover in overtime by Josh Allen was kind of the ending to the game of the year. Do you guys feel the Bills should be worried at all losing that game or no? Because they fall to third in the AFC East now.
No.
They're now the number 3 seed in the AFC East.
I also say no. They're obviously going to be a playoff team, and I think that they had the game. I mean, like with the lead they had, it showed that they obviously competed in that game. A couple bad mistakes let it get away from them, and so when it comes down to playoff time, and they still have weeks to fix these mistakes, and so I don't think that they should be worried. I mean, they played another top team in football, so it's hard to say that they should be worried.
One thing I do want to shout out is the defensive line for the Buffalo Bills, because holy shit, for a lot of this game, I feel like they kept them in this game. Jordan Phillips and Ed Oliver played, I think, an outstanding game. I know on the stat sheet, Dalvin Cook had a really, really good game, but in general, I mean, they were keeping Cousins in the pocket. They were forcing pressure. They looked pretty solid all game, proving they're one of the better units in the league. But yeah, I agree with you guys. I do not think the Bills should be worried in any way, but it is kind of a thing. Like the Bills have been prone to blow a game here once in a while, having the game under control and then blowing it with something in the playoffs, you absolutely cannot do. Like this team should be 7-2, but they blew the game. They should have beaten the Dolphins, but they blew the game. Like they have all these games that you feel like they should win. They could be 9-0 right now, but they just stupid boneheaded mistakes at the end of the game are costing them games. Bad clock management. Everything is going into the fact that they're now 6-3 and sitting at the 3rd seed in the AFC East, which I think they'll climb. I think if Josh Allen stays healthy, they will win this division. I think they're probably still overall the best team in the AFC. I think right now the Chiefs are, but talent wise, I think I'd still give it to the Bills. I think they'll be able to figure it out. I think if Josh Allen stays healthy, they'll win the division. But it's definitely a question mark. It's definitely like a point to their coaching, and their ability to stay in games when they're blowing games like this late, and the fact that they should be 9-0 and they're sitting at 6-3 it's a tough scene.
And you mentioned the Bills' defensive line, and they did play good the whole game. And like you said, it did on paper. Dalvin Cook had a good game. It didn't really show maybe that the defensive line played that good, but Dalvin Cook was pretty well shut down in that first half. The numbers came from he had an 81-yard touchdown run or
Yeah.
an yard run. I don't know if it ended up resulting in a touchdown.
It was really one broken. Yeah, it was
But
really
that's
one
what-
big gain.
It was one play.
Yeah. Yeah, overall, that was an outstanding game. Very, very fun game to watch. I think we talked a lot about the Bills, but I mean, to give credit to the Vikings, great game from a lot of units for them. Like I said, their rushing game was pretty solid. They threw the ball pretty well. Obviously, Kirk Cousins did have the 2 air-mailed picks, but besides that, he took care of the football. He kept them in the game. They were grinding out the game very, very well. Their defense played outstanding in the fourth quarter, keep giving them a chance to come back and win the game. Patrick Peterson had a really, really good game. Eric Kendricks had a good game. The defense is good, and I think this pretty much proves that the Vikings are a top contender in the NFC. Would I put them over the Eagles? I don't know. Are they a more complete team than the Eagles? No, they're not. But I
don't know.
do like a few units more. I like their rushing game more. I like their offensive. I don't like their offensive line more, but there are a couple units on this team that I would be like, I kind of like that over the Eagles, maybe, but I don't know. They definitely proven that they will win the NFC North, though. They've definitely proven they'll be a top seed, and they could make some noise in the playoffs. The big question mark is like Kirk Cousins. He had those 2 air-mailed picks, and the Bills didn't really make him pay for it that much. So if team in the playoffs could make him pay for that a lot more, and could have taken the Vikings out of this game a lot earlier. So yeah,
Which
I don't know if I
at one
completely trust
point
them.
they kind of were out. I don't know how much they were down by, but I mean,
I
at
think
one
they were
point,
down by like 17. I want to say at
It
one
was quite a
point.
bit.
I know at one point
Yeah.
I literally turned to you guys and said, "Well, if it's official, the Vikings are frauds." I was wrong. They turned that game around very fast. But one thing
Yeah.
I am not wrong about is Justin Fields being a stud.
I wouldn't go that far yet, but
He's a
yes,
stud.
he did have a couple very, very good games, and this last game against the Lions was really good. That was a really, really good Justin Fields game. Now, don't get me wrong, he threw the pick six to Jeff Okuda.
And he made
Okay,
it
you
up.
have
It
to.
was literally the next
He did
play.
make up for it with his legs. He did, but you have to admit also, like if I'm going to admit that he looks good and that the Bears fans should be excited, you have to admit there are some very big concerns in his passing game.
Oh yeah,
He
but
has accuracy
who
issues,
does
his
he
ability to
passing
get the
it?
ball to the middle of the field. He also holds onto the ball way too much. He creates
Yeah,
so much self-pressure by just holding onto the ball so much. I mean, you look at some of his passing yards, he's 5th in air yards per attempt, but yet he's 33rd in deep ball completion percentage. That means he's averaging the most yards per target, but yet he's only completing them at a very, very low rate.
which
So does that point towards Eberflus and the offensive scheme, or does that point towards Justin Fields really not being able to complete a deep ball?
I would
I don't know.
say a little bit of both, but I say the big thing is who the hell is he throwing to? Darnell Mooney's come out and looked like a
I
bum
mean,
for 90% of the time.
yeah. Well,
Um,
he doesn't look like a bum. He's just the only guy there, so you can easily target him. And
Claypool just came. I think he had 2 targets. I think I saw that. Not for sure.
yeah,
I mean, he's not getting open near that, or he's just not used to the passing game yet, which would make sense. But I mean, this is kind of the same situation as Rodgers. They kind of have the same receiving core in my mind. I think they're pretty equal.
I would say
Packers
the
maybe a little better,
Packers a little better. Yeah,
just a
I
little
would say
bit.
it's a little better.
But I mean, you have a legacy quarterback in Aaron Rodgers with the same receiving core as I would say. I think he's a second year, maybe third year quarterback. I don't really
The
study.
second, it's the
Yeah,
second year.
second. I mean, that's just not fair. And I mean, fuck, they're one game away from having the same record.
Yeah, I mean they should have won this game. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
miss PAT. It's a miss PAT that stopped this game from going into overtime,
Yeah.
which really sucks for the Bears. But it's just kind of a Bears way to lose.
It is double doink in the playoffs. I mean, it's just kind of a.
But like, you look at the numbers from him though, from Justin Fields, and obviously they're not giving a whole lot of attempts. He's only averaging like 20 something pass attempts a game, which is really, really low. But he's 34th in clean pocket percentage, completion percentage, which like, so even when he is throwing from a clean pocket, there's accuracy concerns. He's not the most accurate quarterback in the league. He's 32nd in accuracy rating, and he's 31st in true passer rating. But his legs are what keep him in games. He's still 10th in total EPA because he's first in the league in rushing yards per game. He's first in total rushing yards by a QB and second in carries per game. So yes, the guy can run. He can escape the pocket very, very well. He can break tackles. He's a strong guy. He can run through defenders. But there are obvious concerns in his pass game. And like, I understand his receivers aren't that good, but if he's going to truly be a good quarterback in this league, the deep ball accuracy, which is what he was really known for in college, being able to hit that deep ball over the top, taking the top off the defense, That needs to get better. He needs to get better from a clean pocket. He needs to stop bringing self-pressure. He holds onto the ball so long. He looks to get out of the pocket so much that he brings in this self-pressure that causes his sack rate to go up, that causes his accuracy issues. So if he can get the ball out a little bit quicker, can trust over the middle of the field. He doesn't throw over the middle of the field a whole lot either. If he could trust the middle of the field, if he can try to sit in the pocket, make some throws every once in a while, I think the Bears be a lot better team, and I think he'd be a lot better quarterback as well.
Yeah. I could be completely wrong here, but I'm almost for sure the exact same thing was said about Lamar when he came in the league. He can't throw the ball. All he does is run. I mean,
He
Justin
can't. No, okay,
Fields.
okay. Justin Fields can throw the ball. He has a rocket attached to him. Okay, he has a crazy arm. The issue is the accuracy. He needs to be able to hit receivers, and right now it just seems like he's first to take off. He doesn't seem like his eyes are like completely downfield, or maybe they're too far downfield because he's missing open receivers over the middle. He's not hitting stuff over the middle. So I don't know. I'm not trying to sit here and slander him. I think he's had a very good couple weeks. I think there's a lot of promise there, but in reality, his accuracy is going to be an issue, and it's
Which
one of the reasons they're losing football games right
which
now.
I think that it's better to have an accuracy problem because you can teach accuracy. You can't teach raw athleticism like he does have.
For sure.
Obviously right now he's not top 5 quarterback. Hitting for later in the episode, but I mean he's not top 5 right now. But I definitely think he has everything to be a top 5 quarterback eventually. If in 2 years from now you tell me he's number 3 in the league, I would not bat an eye.
He has all the tools to.
Yes.
I think another big thing with Fields is that he's not making the right reads. So I mean, it's a little bit of it all. Like when he is making the right reads, it's not accurate. He's thrown 18 balls that were deemed interceptable, which is 4th most in the league, and that right there shows that he's not reading the field, not making the right reads. And I'm going to come out and say it right now. I'm not potential wise. I think he has a lot of it, even when it comes to passing. But right now, he is a terrible passer.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and like I said, a lot of people want to point towards him having a bad offensive line, but you even look at the clean pocket percentage being really, really bad. And it's like he's bringing on all this pressure to himself. And even though he has this rocket arm, he's not hitting any balls over the middle. He's constantly trying to rely on the deep ball. That's just not there. They don't have a receiver that's going to get downfield for one, and he's not hitting that receiver when they are there. So even though this offense has been very high powered lately because of his legs, I think there are very, very much concerns about his passing ability, and I don't think we should be having anybody taking a victory lap on Justin Fields yet. The jury is still definitely out. But I would love this offseason with how much money they have to go and get some weapons, to go and upgrade that offensive line and truly see what he could be. Because I think you give him another offseason, you give him some more weapons, Justin Fields, without a doubt, has top 5 caliber quarterback potential for sure. It just needs to be untapped. It needs to be unlocked. He needs to help himself.
He's got to improve a lot as a passer.
He needs to help himself.
Already shown that he can run, and I mean, you put it in perspective of give him the mobility of somebody who's nowhere near as mobile like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, and you think about him as a quarterback then, and the perspective is entirely different. And I know that him running the football is a part of that offense and is a part of his game, but passing is also a part of it too. You get into that, you get into a close game and you get into that 2-minute offense and you're there to pass the football and not run it. And so it's those clutch situations that I don't know if they would necessarily come through with his passing game.
I kind of agree. I kind of disagree. I don't think we should be discounting him as a runner. He is a very, very pure runner, great runner. I would say he's probably second to only Lamar Jackson at this point in the NFL when it comes to scrambling ability. But you can't. I do understand the whole 2-minute drill thing. I do understand the late in games, you want him to be able to be a pure pocket passer and throw the ball. But at the same time, we can't discount it. You know what I mean? Like, I think having that running ability is such a great ability to have, especially for a young quarterback to be able to get outside of the pocket and make things happen by yourself in a collapsing pocket. That's like one of the best qualities to be able to have. And I think we can't really discount that. But at the same time, I do agree with you. He does need to get better with his accuracy. I don't know if I trust him right now to run like a 2-minute offense efficiently. I don't think he has the facilities for that right now. But at the same time, you give him an offseason, you give him more weapons that are going to get open. Maybe he can trust the middle of the field a little bit more. Maybe he can hit some more deep accuracy balls. I think he could be that. But at the same time, having the ability to get outside of the pocket in a 2-minute drill, the last thing you want to do is get sacked. So if you have a quarterback that's not going to get sacked a whole lot, that's going to be able to move outside of the pocket, get yards downfield, even if to get up there and spike the ball, at least he's not taking sacks. At least he has the ability to get outside of the pocket. So I think we cannot discount that. We have to give him credit for that.
I don't want to discount it, but I think that being able to get out of the pocket and take off when you have to is a plus to a quarterback that can pass the football. He just isn't able to really pass that great. I mean, the accuracy issues, like I said, like we've mentioned already, the potential's there, but I see what you're saying, but I also think that the mobility aspect of it is kind of a plus. And it's a huge part of his game now, but I mean, 2-minute offense, the quarterback's got to be able to deliver a ball down the field.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I would like to see what he does with. I'd like to see what he does with some weapons. I think him holding on to the ball so long is definitely an issue. Like, he does not get the ball out quick at all, which also points towards him throwing the ball deep. He throws the ball deep a lot, so obviously you're not going to be getting the ball out as quickly. But at the same time, like, I think Eberflus needs to be scheming some stuff up to get guys open over the middle, because it's like he's taking way too many deep shots for a guy who's not completing deep balls at all. He's just not.
He's going to end up getting his quarterback hurt, probably. Unfortunately, I don't want to wish that or say that, but
I really like
that's the case.
That he can get outside of the pocket, and I like that he's getting stuff done with his legs. But at the same time, like, he could get hurt, man. He's running a lot. And that's like the last thing you want is your second-year quarterback going out there running the ball too much, getting himself into trouble, using his legs too much, and getting hurt. That's the last thing you want.
And him holding onto the football is allowing him to, take big sacks and take some big hits. So
while the upside is there, the injury concern is also there, which I definitely see that as well. Parker, what are your thoughts overall on Justin Fields?
Justin Fields, you know how I stand. I watched him week 1 against the 49ers. I think that's who they played week 1. I mean, there's just flashes of him looking great and then flashes of him looking horrible. And every game I watch, it's not like I watch every Bears game. I'm a Packers fan. I don't care. But every game I watch, he just seems to take a step somewhere else. And I mean, I think obviously right now, not amazing, but the potential is incredible. I mean, next year, I will not be surprised if he's a top 10, top 8 quarterback.
He's going to be very talked about. It's going to be a big offseason for him.
Take a little bit of time. He watched some film, understand kind of the mental aspect. He's already doing like breathing drills, kind of getting him more mentally open to the game. And ever since I've saw the report or saw him doing that, he has got a lot better. I think right now it's kind of a mental thing for him. He's scared of throwing interceptions. And then every once in a while, he just forgets what he's doing and throws the ball. I mean, that pick 63 was a horrible decision. But I think it's just him being young, not being able to make his mind right now. Give him some more time. I think, like I said, next year, as long as he puts his work into becoming a better mental player, I think he's going to be amazing.
Something with Justin Fields that's really weird for me is that it's a good and a bad thing. He never looks phased, but he also never really looks like he cares very much.
Well, like, he always
has the exact same expression. Like, if he throws a pick 6, he kind of walks away. He's like, damn. He gets a big first down. He kind of walks away. He's like, awesome. You know what I mean? Like, he always has like kind of that straight face. Where it's like, maybe that's a good thing. Like, he has that dog in him. He has that warrior in him. Like, he's never going to overreact about anything. But at the same time, he just never really looks like he cares all that much. And I don't know what to take from that, I guess. And maybe that's just my personal, like, what I see on the field. It's weird. It's something I haven't really seen out of a lot of quarterbacks. He doesn't show a whole lot of emotion. It's kind of a weird character trait to have as a quarterback, especially.
Well, something else you have to think about, like, in perspective of this, these young quarterbacks are used to pretty much winning their whole lives, and then they step into the NFL role and their team's struggling. So it's like, how do you maybe react to that? You know, it's like you might kind of, now he's a year and a half under his belt of a team that's been pretty rough. So he's probably just at the point where he's like, whatever.
It's like, going off of that, wasn't there a stat like Trevor Lawrence was undefeated from high school until his like second game in the NFL? I think I saw that somewhere. It's a little old.
No, because he lost in college. There
was some. Maybe it was like a home game, but there's just some crazy stat.
It might have been lost. It might have been lost a home game. I believe that. Yeah.
It was some crazy stat like that. I was like, oh my god, that's incredible. And then he gets in the NFL, and I think he lost just about every home game he had.
Just that's what happens.
Yeah, and
That's
so that's a big adjustment for these young guys.
yeah, I agree. I agree for sure. If we want to kind of segue off of that, I mean, I think we can talk about our top NFC and AFC contenders, which I think is kind of up in the air right now. I think a lot of people at the beginning of the year thought the NFC was going to be like super, super weak and there were going to be like no true contenders coming out of there. But at this point, I almost have
The whole
about as many
NFC
NFC
East.
contenders. I have about as much as many NFC contenders as I do AFC contenders. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings are good. The 49ers are good. The Eagles are good.
Cowboys.
The Cowboys are pretty good.
Don't forget them boys. Don't forget them boys.
Don't want to sleep on Tampa Bay too much either.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Still got
So
a good
yeah,
shot.
I have a little list here. It's like these are my NFC contenders in order that I have, and like these aren't all contenders, but this is just like if I had 7 contenders, this is where I would put them. So these are this is kind of like my playoffs as well. So I have the Eagles as number 1 contender, and I still have them as number 1 because I think yes they did drop a game to the Commanders, but they obviously have the most talented groups in the NFL. They have the best offensive line in the NFL, possibly one of the best D lines, one of the best secondaries. Their passing game has been electric. I think you still have to have them as your number 1 NFC contender at this point in time. Maybe not. I could see somebody putting the Vikings above them, but for me, I think
put the Vikings above
that's
them.
fine.
I
I'm
would go
keeping the
Eagles.
Eagles there.
I'd
I'm
go
keeping the
Eagles.
Eagles there. And then number 2, I have Vikings for obvious reasons. Number 3, I still have the Cowboys over the 49ers, which I think is a little bit of a hot take. I think with CMC, the 49ers offense has taken a whole different step. But to me, I look at this as the Cowboys defense, when Cooper Rush was at quarterback, had to win them games. Their pass rush had to be insane. Their secondary had to be insane. They were winning games on the back of their defense. And now you see Dak come back. And all of a sudden, their efficiency is going way up. They're scoring 25, 30 points a game, and they've been losing because their defense is blowing fourth quarter leads. I think at some point they're going to have to figure it out. The pass rush and the offense is going to be working together, and they're going to figure it out a way to win games. They should have won that Packers game. They were up 14 going into the fourth quarter. Yes, you could say the offense blew, but at the same time, the pass rush was not getting there. Micah Parsons was held in check the entire game. They were playing way too much man coverage, and they allowed the Packers to beat them. In my opinion, that is a game the Cowboys most definitely should have won. I still have them as my number 3 contender. Then the 49ers at 4, which I just kind of explained that, so I'll just kind of move on to the Bucks. I have the Bucks ahead of the Seahawks, and this is mostly because I don't even know how to explain it. I just have a good feeling about the Bucks. I think they're getting healthy at the right time. I think Tom Brady is looking a lot more comfortable in the pocket right now. The offensive line has looked better the past couple of weeks. Yes, I know Shaquille Barrett's out for the rest of the year, but they still have Vita Vea. They still have Devontae David. I think Antoine Winfield Jr. has been one of the best safeties in the league this year. The star power is there. They're going to win the NFC South, which means they're going to have a better seeding than the Seahawks because I think the 49ers are going to win that division. I think the 49ers are going to come back. They're going to win the NFC West. And I think that puts the Bucks in a better spot than the Seahawks. Not that the Seahawks are worse. I just trust the Bucks defense a little bit more than I trust the Seahawks, and I also trust the Bucks passing game a little. Yeah, I trust Tom Brady more than Geno Smith, unfortunately. And then I have the Seahawks. I really love the Seahawks. The only issue is their top players right now in this league right now are very inexperienced. Very inexperienced. Look at Tariq Woolen. You look at Nwosu. You look at Brooks. You look at their offensive line. You look at Geno Smith as his first year starting in 10 years. You look at even DK Metcalf is still somewhat of a young wide receiver, not a whole lot of playoff experience. I just don't trust them as much. And then number 7, I have the Giants. I get their 7-2. I cannot trust Daniel Jones. I just can't trust him in the playoffs. I don't think their defense has been really, really good, but they have injuries a little bit coming. They've had a lot of injuries in the past couple weeks. I do not trust them any more than the top 6 teams. So that's kind of my top 7 is the Eagles, Vikings, Cowboys, Niners, Bucks, Seahawks, Giants.
I can't hate it. I like the 49ers over the
Cowboys.
Yeah, Cowboys. That's what it was.
I get that. I vouch for the Cowboys. I vouch for the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl. I gotta push narratives a little bit, but
fair enough. And I chose the 49ers, so I guess I'm gonna push against that.
I don't remember who I picked. I think I picked the 49ers, but it was between the 49ers and the Cowboys. So either one, I'm okay with. But right now, I'd have the Cowboys over the 49ers, but at the end of the year, I'd have the 49ers over the Cowboys because it's kind of hard for me to decide. I like the Eagles over the Vikings. I think the Vikings' biggest flaw is Kirk Thuggins. He's either really good or he sucks. and that's a really bad debate to have every game.
Yeah. He's not going to be. I can't see him being consistent for 4 games in the playoffs, which is what you have to be.
Yeah.
That's what you have to be.
Which really sucks for Vikings and Viking fans because they're going to have their hopes up and it's just going to come crashing down.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got there.
So doing a little segue to the AFC. I guess not really obviously anymore. My top contender is the Chiefs. I think their passing offense has not even taken really a step back since Tyreek has left. It's just, and their defenses look fine. The Chiefs have to be the number 1 AFC contender. Number 2, I still have the Bills. And I don't know if I should put the Dolphins above them or not. I still think the Bills are the most complete team in football. Even with the injuries, they might be the most complete team in football. Maybe it's the Eagles. Maybe I put the Eagles above them. But, I mean, you look at the defensive line. You look at the secondary when Trey White comes back. You look at the wide receiving core. Obviously, they have Josh Allen. Like, I just like the Bills a lot. I trust them to play to show up in the playoffs more than I trust other teams. So I got the Bills at number 2. I then have the Dolphins. The reason the Dolphins are down there is mostly because Tua. I don't know Tua right now. I don't know if he's going to be consistent for 4 games in the playoffs. I don't know if their D line is going to be consistent now that Emmanuel Ogba's out the rest of the year. That's a tough loss for them. That's a really, really tough loss. I just don't know if I trust them that much. I don't trust their run game that much right now. I know it got a lot better this Sunday adding Jeff Wilson. I love their receivers though. I could definitely see the Dolphins making a push. I just don't know if I can quite put them above the Bills right now. Number 4, I have the Ravens, and that is mostly because, like I said, Lamar Jackson's a one-man wrecking crew. I think when Mark Andrews gets healthy, they're going to skyrocket. I love their defense. I'm going to keep them at number 4. And number 5, I think, is kind of interchangeable. I have the Titans, mostly because I think they're going to win the AFC South pretty handily. But I could also see you putting the Jets. I could also see you putting the Bengals. That's kind of where my list stands.
So I think the Bengals maybe a little higher. Ever since like mid-season, they've really turned it around. I think they've looked pretty good the past few weeks.
And once they add Jamar back, I think the
Yeah.
sky's the limit for the Bengals again.
Burrow kind of got his head out of his ass. He's been playing way better. And yeah, I like your list. I like the Dolphins. I wouldn't put them above the Chiefs or Bills, like you said, though. I like Tua. I think he has a lot of potential. Not as much potential as Justin Fields or Jordan Love, but besides that,
Injuries are hurting that Bills defense. The amount of defensive injuries the Bills team has is crazy. So yeah, I still like the Bills at 2 despite them losing. And yeah, if they can get healthy, they're going to be, I mean, they're right up there with the Chiefs. So
yeah, I would
My
agree.
big thing with the Jets is that their defense is so outstanding, but obviously Zach Wilson is the biggest question mark in the NFL right now. And I hate to always bring it back to the quarterback, but it's so important. You see so many teams without a quarterback just struggle. Like Garrett Wilson could be rookie of the year right now if he had somebody to throw to him. He really could be. Garrett Wilson is so talented. They just have nobody to throw to him. And now that Breece Hall went down, I just don't trust their run game as much. So I put them way, way lower. But trust me, if they had a quarterback, I think the Jets could be a top 3 contender right now. And the Bengals, I have at 7, mostly just because I think the Ravens are a little bit better. I think the Ravens are going to expose them a little bit when they play each other. But I do like the Bengals. I think when Jamar Chase comes back, they could definitely win that division. Depending on when he comes back, I think they can make a push for the division. Their offensive line has looked better in the last couple weeks. I know it struggled to begin the year, but they've looked a lot better the past couple weeks. Joe Burrow's been very efficient the last couple weeks. T. Higgins has looked really, really good. But Awuzie going down is tough as well, so I don't know how their secondary is going to look. But either way, I like the Bengals. I have them at 7, but I don't have them as like a top 5 contender in the AFC.
I think 7's fair.
Like I said, maybe put them a little higher, but I'm not going to complain about 7.
I'd put them above the Jets. I would not put them above the Titans. I'd put them above the Jets, probably. Actually, I would argue the Titans. I could put them at 5. I could definitely see the Bengals going at 5, but that's about as high as I'd put them.
Yeah.
Especially with Jamar Chase out.
Yeah, when Jamar gets back, I could definitely see that. If you guys want to move on, we can talk about the Cowboys-Packers game that happened on Sunday.
If I may lead this, I'll lead this off.
Whatever Packer fan wants to start.
That game scares me. For this reason only, I'm going to the game this Thursday. I just watched the Packers play actual football. I'm expecting them to play actual football. If they come out and don't play actual football, I'm going to be pissed.
They're going to
That's
play actual football. And here's why.
I also agree. I think they will.
They did
but
something this week that they hadn't really done in previous weeks. They slowed the offense down,
yep.
let the running backs go to work, play the game smart, and win and play good and be smart with the football. Other than special teams, but hopefully that is no longer an issue.
Because
Yeah,
Amari
Rogers.
is gone.
He's gone. Fucking good riddance.
I'm very sad I'll never get to see the Jordan Love Amari Rogers combo, but Amari kind of killed himself by not being able to catch a punt. And going back to what you said about the run game, I mean, they finally let Aaron Jones just eat. I mean, 24 carries, 138 yards, touchdown. And what I'm happy to see, they let AJ Dillon, they cut his snaps basically in half from Aaron Jones, and he was just an asset. He wasn't like one of the main guys. He was just kind of there. And being just kind of there, 13 carries, 65 yards. Quick math, I think the average is around 5 or 6. That could be
I think he
completely
averaged
wrong.
right at 5 yards a carry.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. That's what best I've seen from him in a while. Aaron Jones is a stud. That's all you can say about that. And as a Packers fan, I know Packers Twitter, and I know every Packers fan I know has been saying, why are maybe the best backfield in the NFL not getting the ball more? And finally, we see this, and then we beat a potential Super Bowl contender. Very good to see. And Aaron Rodgers decided to play football today, or Sunday.
Rodgers kind of looked like his old self. He didn't have, too many crazy pass attempts. Like, he didn't have a crazy number of pass attempts. But he
was efficient with him, though.
Yeah.
He did what he does best, and that's take care of the football. If you have a quarterback who can take care of the football, they're going to win games. Aaron Rodgers has done it his entire career.
He did fumble.
And that's yes.
Jordan Love wouldn't do that.
Well, okay.
Yeah, he'd be throwing 4 picks a game.
I don't want to say 4.
Like 14 for 20 for 224 yards and 3 touchdowns. He looked really good. The deep ball looked really, really good. I mean, he was 14 for 20. He could have easily been 15 for 20 with another touchdown if Christian Watson had any ball tracking skills whatsoever. That one deep ball, it seemed like he was looking like, I don't know where he was looking.
He
wasn't
didn't know
looking
the ball
for
was in
though.
the air. He didn't know
he
it was
wasn't
in the
looking
air.
for the ball. He wasn't looking for the ball. So, but yeah, overall, I mean, Rodgers making a very smart decision with football. He wasn't forcing anything, which I think he was doing a lot before this last week. He wasn't looking frustrated. He looked like he was letting the offense work. He was using his backfield. He was using his running backs, and it worked out best for him. Obviously, they were down 14 going into the fourth quarter. It didn't look like they were going to win. But even before the fourth quarter, the offense at least looked pretty good. They looked way better than they had in the past couple of weeks.
Rodgers actually looked happy today and not like he wanted to kill everybody.
The team showed some energy, like they wanted to win. And I think that was a good bounce back win for the Packers. And I'm not going to necessarily say that it brings them back into any kind of playoff prediction or playoff hopes. But I will say, don't completely count them out.
As Aaron Rodgers said, we're not dead yet.
I think they have a shot. It's not a great one. It's hard to count them out, though. Like, if they're going to beat top contenders like the Cowboys, it's hard. I mean,
then lose to the Lions.
Big thing with the Packers, though, is that outside of the fourth quarter, their defense looked pretty poor. Because even with Zeke out, the Cowboys had over 150 rushing yards. Pollard averaged over 5 a carry for 115, and then CeeDee Lamb went crazy, dude. He was beating man coverage all night. He looked super explosive. He was the number 1 guy in their offense. But the thing that they look really good on is their offensive line looked really good. They held Micah Parsons in check. Micah Parsons had 0 sacks. I think he had 0 tackles for loss. They were keeping him in check all game, which is something they hadn't done all year. It seemed like the good edge rushers were beating the Packers every single game. So that was really, really good to see out of the Packers. Like you guys said, they ran the ball extremely well. AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones looked really, really solid. So this is definitely a game to build off of. I think the Packers have looked better in this game than they have all year. Does that mean they're going to make a playoff push? I don't know. It's going to be a really tough NFC to get into a wild card. I do not see them winning the division over the Vikings, so it's going to be tough to get a wild card spot. But, I mean, if the Giants somehow fall off majorly or the Cowboys fall off majorly, I mean, yeah, there is a shot, but like even the Commanders look way better than the Packers do right now, and they have a better record. So
And they beat the Packers.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. They'd be tough. It'd be tough.
It's like they'll have to win out, and they decided to suck at the beginning of the schedule, which is their easier part, and now they want to actually play football, and they're in the tough part of the schedule, which is just horrible by them. For them.
I don't know that they necessarily have to win out, but they have to be close.
I'd say maybe one loss, but other than that, they just got to win.
And we do have some tough opponents. We play the Eagles. We play the Vikings again.
We play the Lions.
Yeah, I can't see.
They gave us some problems. I don't either. Which, going back to my theory, actually, I won't go there today. We'll stay off of it.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think the playoff hopes are likely, and I wouldn't predict them to make it. But I think overall, don't completely count them out. But it's close. I mean, they're a loss or two away from being able to say it's cooked. You know.
Yeah.
But
if they lose this week, I think it's safe to say it's cooked. They need to go on a little streak here. Maybe a loss in the middle, loss at the end, but they definitely need to go on a little streak here.
Yeah.
Get some momentum.
It starts Thursday night, baby. Starts Thursday.
And I'll be there in attendance to either.
and
he might see their season end, or maybe he'll see him start a streak. Because if they lose that game, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's cooked.
Yeah, it's 100%. And at that point, I want you guys' honest opinion. At that point, season's over. Do we put the ball in Jordan Love's hands?
No. Not after this last Rodgers game. Nope, no way. The only way is if they are if they're at 9, if they go 4-9, say they get to the point that they're 4-9, and they're obviously going to finish below 500 at this point. If they put the ball in Jordan Love's hands, I wouldn't mind it then. But while they still have a chance at a winning record,
and then Rodgers' career is over.
Yes,
that's
then he
the
retires. That's the thing.
If they make the decision to go with Jordan Love, Rodgers retires.
I agree. Sure. I agree.
If he doesn't already, that seals the deal. So,
all right, enough Packers talk. This podcast leads the entire YouTube, Spotify, and Packers talk. So let's move into the Eagles versus Commanders game.
I need to flex real quick. The number one Packers podcast, which is actually ranked 4th on Spotify among all sports podcasts, follows Parker Francis on Twitter.
Oh wow!
That's
congrats.
Also, Worldwide Wob. I don't know his actual name, but he's like a pretty big reporter. He follows me on Twitter too, so I got a few famous people on Twitter. But yeah, that was just my little flex.
That's sick.
So if it's a Packers podcast, though, we don't lead YouTube.
No, we do not.
Podcasts in general.
So I had to prove that wrong.
We lead YouTube and Spotify in talking about the Packers. That is not a complete Packers podcast. So
1 second, I gotta find out who Worldwide Wob is, because you'll know the name. He follows me. Rob Perez. He follows me on Twitter.
All right. Well,
I'm Twitter popping.
Moving into the Eagles-Commanders game, the Eagles suffered their first loss of the year, and I just have kind of a few notes about them. I mean, Heineke is nails. I know he didn't have an amazing game, but like Heineke just somehow finds a way to win every time he's on the field. He's such a fun player to watch. He's going to get it done with his legs. He's going to be accurate. And yeah, when it comes to the clutch, for some reason, Heineke is just that guy. I don't know what it is.
How long is Wentz out for?
He might be back next week, they said.
Okay. Well, I don't know if they even go to Wentz.
That's what I'm saying. Heineke may have won the starting job, at least for the next game. Very much could have.
I think he should have had it all year.
His stat line wasn't amazing, but he looked like he was going to win in this game. He was accurate enough. He was doing enough to get the job done, and obviously their defense played outstanding as well. That's what I want. I like the Commander secondary deserves a literal Medal of Honor for how well they played. Holding A.J. Brown to 1 or 2 catches the entire game. I mean, Fuller and St. Juste had A.J. Brown in a box the entire game. They forced a fumble on Quez Watkins. That was absolutely awesome. They allowed the deep ball, and then right afterwards they catch up to him, punch the ball out. the whole defense played outstanding. The D line played outstanding. Finally the Commanders defense that we were hoping to find all year is finally playing the way we hoped they would. And Chase Young might be coming back next week, which is only going to add to how sick that defensive line is.
Which we've talked about in previous podcasts about this defense and how big of a
they're finally performing well. Jack Del Rio is finally figuring it out. Somehow he's finally figuring it out. And Terry McLaurin had an unreal game. He was open all night, had a bunch of yards after catch. They were inefficient with the run game as well, which is very huge, having Terry McLaurin step up and being able to play well, especially against such a great secondary. I mean, James Bradbury, Darius Slay, like that's a really good secondary, and Terry McLaurin played really, really well. So I also felt that Jalen Hurts played a really, really fine game. The pick in the first half that he threw into double coverage to A.J. Brown was obviously not a great decision, but you're going to trust A.J. Brown to win deep. It just didn't work out. I don't really hate that choice. Other than that, though, he made solid decisions all night, made some nice plays, made some stuff happen on the ground like he always does. The big thing for the Eagles is that there was really no explosive plays. They could not get anything down the field. Even when they did to Quez Watkins, it was a fumble right after. So not being able to get the ball into A.J. Brown's hands, not being able to get it to him deep, obviously that just goes back to Fuller and St. Juste and and Cam Curl. The entire Commander secondary played an outstanding game. But one thing I would like to say, and that this is like all the talk on Twitter, is that the refs handed the game to the Commanders. The refs did play a big part in this game. They had some missed calls that led to Philly mistakes, but you cannot blame the refs for that unnecessary roughness call at the end of the game on Brandon Graham. You absolutely cannot blame that on the refs. If that had happened at any point in the game other than that, no one would be complaining. He obviously gave himself up. He was on the ground on a knee, and then 2 seconds after he goes down, Brandon Graham comes and hits him. I don't care how much of a flop it was. I don't care. It was unnecessary for one. Brandon Graham never had to do that. The whistles were already blown. He did not have to run there and make that hit. So I don't care if he like barely tapped him. I don't care if it was a flop. It was a dumb decision by a veteran Pro Bowl linebacker that should never happen. That is not on the refs. Brandon Graham needs to be smarter than that and needs to not make that play. So anybody going out there saying the refs handed them this game, at any part in the game, if that call was made, no one would be complaining. It's just because that's what caused the win for the Commanders. People are going to talk about it. That was a good call. Brandon Graham was dumb for doing that. He's a veteran. He'll bounce back. I understand it, but that's a veteran making a rookie mistake. You cannot do that. And that's not why the Eagles lost that game. They lost the game much earlier than that. That's something I want to say.
The only thing, actually, I didn't even see that one on Twitter too much. The big thing I saw was they missed a face mask.
Yeah.
I saw that everywhere, and everybody was just kind of flaming the refs.
And that was a bad call. That was a bad call.
Yeah.
It was. Bad miscall. But no, I hate seeing people saying that the refs handed the Commanders the game because of that roughing the passer or unnecessary roughness, whatever it was. That was definitely an unnecessary roughness. And
I've only seen one instance where I watched the refs throw away a game, and that was in my unified basketball state tournament. But that's a story for another time.
God. Oh boy,
I won't get into
back
it
in high school,
but I could.
I mean, the Commanders winning this game, dude. The defense looked outstanding. The offense looked okay. The run game wasn't great, but I mean, they should be excited. They're above 500. They look like they could be a playoff contender in a very, very solid NFC East. But the Eagles, I don't think, should be too worried. I mean, A.J. Brown was in a box the entire game, but he also limped off the field in like the first quarter after a play. So he kept playing after that, but you wonder how injured he was. You wonder how much that affected him. So I don't know. I think they're still the best team in the NFC. I think they still have some of the best units in the NFC. Their offensive line is outstanding. Their secondary is outstanding. I think they'll bounce back. I think they'll still be a very, very good team. But yeah, big win for the Commanders overall. And shout out to the 1972 Dolphins. They get to celebrate once again for the first loss of the Eagles.
Jonathan, I just want you to know you are a liar. The Commanders are 500, not over 500.
Oh, are they? Are they 5-5?
Yeah.
Oh, they haven't had a bye week yet. Then I thought they were 5-4. My bad.
No. I'm here to keep you in check. I'm the research guy.
You are. That's my bad.
Really.
That's my bad. They're at 500 either way. But yeah, that's all I really had to say about that game. If you guys want to segue into our last segment, our top 5 quarterbacks, because I think that is one of the most hot topics right now. Who are the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL? We've seen so many underwhelming quarterbacks. We've seen so many guys overwhelming, with overperforming. So I want to hear everybody's list.
I say what we do. Everybody says they're number 5 every 4, every 3, every 2, every 1, because that's a lot easier to do for TikTok.
Okay,
that's fine.
All right, so my number 5, I have Geno Smith.
My number 5 is Joe Burrow.
I also have Geno Smith.
With Geno, this year alone, he's been a standout. He's just looked like the man.
He's making some super impressive throws. He looks unreal. He barely missed my top five.
17 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions. I mean, that's them holding on to the football. It's kind of a little bit of it all. He's playing amazing. Nobody really expected him to, which might edge him a little higher. But he's been great. I mean,
if we're going just top 5 this year, yes, he does make it. But this is just kind of my top 5 overall. And I've seen some more of some other guys, so he just barely missed. But yeah.
I kind of went here, but
yeah, that's how I did it too. Number 4, I did a Tua Turtle View.
I got Tom Brady as my number 4.
Joe Burrow.
All right. Number 3, I have Joe Shiesty, which is Joe Burrow.
I have Lamar Jackson at my number 3. Lamar Jackson.
Tom Brady.
And then number 2 and number 1, I think, are not even interchangeable at this point, but it's Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Patrick Mahomes at 1.
Jackson Mahomes. I have it backwards. I have Jackson Mahomes number 2 and Josh
Allen. No.
Dude, Josh Allen's a stud, man.
How do you still have Allen?
Yes, 100%.
You have Allen over Mahomes?
Yes.
I disagree. I don't think they're interchangeable at this point. I think at some point this year they were interchangeable. Like you could have Josh Allen as your number 1. These past couple weeks, I think Mahomes has without a doubt.
I did have Josh Allen over Mahomes actually.
I never did. I think Mahomes has always been the best, but
Josh Allen has been a little careless. It's one of them things to when you pass the football so many times. It's kind of like playing Madden, right? You pass the football so many times. After a while, you're like, screw it, and just kind of just chuck it down there. And it seems like maybe that's what Josh Allen's doing a little bit. He's thrown quite a few interceptions. He's at 10 now. So
I just think Mahomes, the combination of Mahomes taking care of the football, being able to play out of structure, and having an absolute rocket of an arm. Like, there is no better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes, and I am not sure if there will be one for the next 10 or 15 years. Like, someone has to take that crown from him, and so far no one has. He's, like, at least for the next 10 years at this point, I don't see anybody taking it from him. And I will be open. Like, if Josh Allen plays better than him, I will admit I'm wrong. But for right now, Mahomes is the guy. Until further notice.
I think Victor I don't know how to say his last name.
Wembanyama.
Yeah, he's going to come to the NFL. He's just going to take it over. Dude seems to be able to do everything. But
he could. Okay, so now we're going to move into kind of our fun segment of the podcast. Moving away from sports, we're going to move into a TV show, childhood TV show draft, where basically it'll be going Hunter, me, Parker in 1, 2, 3 order, and it'll be a snake draft, and there'll be 5 rounds. So Hunter will choose one, I'll choose one, and then Parker will have 2 picks. It'll go back to me, then Hunter will have 2 picks, and it'll go back to me, and so on until we each have 5 TV shows. And then you guys can put down in the comments which list you feel like is best.
All right, Hunter, kick this baby off.
Right.
Go ahead and kick it off. I know exactly where you're going, and it's the unanimous number 1. And it's the unanimous number 1. Just do it.
In the draft will be Drake and Josh.
It's just so obviously number 1, and I can't believe Parker did not have it as number 1. We were talking about this beforehand. For those of you guys listening, we were talking about this. We cut it out because we were having a conversation about this, and Parker could not guess what the number 1 unanimous show was. I thought it was going to be believe
Drake. I thought it was Drake and Josh or iCarly. That's what I thought it was.
No, it's Drake and Josh.
That's what I thought it would be.
I still watch that show on Hulu. It's so good. Yeah, having the first overall pick is OP. But I'm going to come back. And my second overall pick, I know, Parker, you just said iCarly. I'm not going there. I'm going to a show that is really old, actually, and a show I used to love watching with my sister. I'm going Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
That's a good one.
I love that
show. I had that pretty low on my...
I have so much nostalgia for that show. And maybe I could have waited to take it, maybe. Like, maybe I should do this more strategically, but in terms of, like, my favorite TV shows, it was Drake and Josh, then Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. So I'm taking Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
I could definitely do this more strategically than I am, because we already kind of talked about this. You guys said you guys weren't going to take it early, but I don't know how you don't fucking take SpongeBob. I mean, that was my number 1 pick off the jump. I would have taken that over Drake and Josh.
No, you. Okay,
I would have.
That's an L take.
No, dude, I can go back and watch SpongeBob and just like the amount of quotable things I say from SpongeBob on a daily basis is insane.
You just can't go above Drake and Josh.
I would put above. But
Drake and Josh is literally the Patrick Mahomes of TV shows. Like there's nobody better.
And
you gotta go with them.
Unless
dude.
it's Josh Allen, which is SpongeBob. But
okay, fine. Good comparison. Good comparison. Okay, what's your next pick? You
this
off
one,
round 2.
I do like this, but it's not necessarily what I would take second. But I know you want it, Johnny, so I'm going to take it off the board. And that is Big Time Rush.
Oh no! It was not on my list. That was not on my list.
You forgot it then.
It was not on my list.
I thought that would be Johnny's top one.
I was going to take it in like round 5 if it was there, but I wasn't going to take it early.
I'm taking. I still watch Big Time Rush on Netflix.
I like that show. I like the show.
I know your next one now, but go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to just kick off the board. iCarly, one of the most iconic Nickelodeon shows. Got to take it off the board. One of Netflix's finest. Hunter, you got back to back now.
I think I am also going to go with a pretty classic one. Good Luck, Charlie.
That was my next pick. That was my next pick.
I loved that show as a kid.
That was my next pick.
That's the one we will go with.
I'm running out. You guys have taken a lot of mine. I only have 3 left that I can take.
I have a lot
until I got to start looking them up.
I guess that leaves me again, huh?
It leaves you again. Hunter's got a good list right now.
So I'm on pick number 3 here. And I've got one in mind, and I really do want it, but I think I can maybe steal it into the next, but I don't know.
Keep in mind, you're gonna have 4 picks until you go again. So if you want it, you might want to take it.
I know. I think I am gonna take.
This is exciting.
Jesse.
That was not on my list.
It was on my list, not lower. It was lower, but I like that pick a lot. The only person that doesn't get back-to-back picks. That's why going number 2 kind of sucks, because I would love to have back-to-back picks right now. I'm between 2 shows, and I'm not going to say who they are because I don't want you guys to steal the one that I don't take.
Oh, I know exactly what I'm taking.
This might be a take that's a little bit cold. Hunter, you took Jesse, right? Or one of you guys took Jesse already? Okay. So that was going to be my next pick. So I am going to pivot to Wizards of Waverly Place.
That was a good one. I forgot that one.
I
didn't
that
watch
show.
that one quite as much, but
having a sister a little bit older than you is the only reason I watched that show. That was a little before my time, but I would still watch it, and there's still replays of it sometimes, and I love that show. So
that show's fire. That movie, best movie from
it's a good movie.
Show ever. Like, oh my god. For my next 2, once again, I don't think you guys are gonna like them, but I'm doing this my way. I don't give a fuck.
Don't go Pokemon.
I'm not going Pokemon. You guys know. But
you can have all the Pokemon.
For my number 3 pick, I'm taking Phineas and Ferb.
On my list. Okay. It was on my list. No.
It was also on my list.
I love Phineas and Ferb.
I thought that was some high quality shit right there. And when you guys said animated, you guys only had a few. I got really excited. And you guys continued to say, oh, yeah, and then I'm adding this one. I'm adding this one. I'm adding this one. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm screwed. But I still got that one. And this one, I cannot go back and watch it because the person's voice is so squeaky, and I want to, like, just, if you can piece it together. But Zoe 101.
Yes, I agree. It was way better before it was on Netflix because I
tried to watch on Netflix. Oh, my God, it's so bad now.
I can't watch it. But it's a good take because it was a good show back in the day. It was a good show.
I agree. 100%.
It just doesn't hold up very well anymore, but I do like that pick.
So do I.
A show I'm going to go with next, a show you guys might not even watch. This is also a show that I really only watched because I had an older sister that would watch it with me. But That's So Raven is the next pick I'm going to take. I think That's So Raven. The new one sucks, okay? And that's what I want to say. The new one came out when I was like 13. That show is annoying and it's stupid, and I hate the little kids on there. They're annoying as shit. That's So Raven was an actual good show, and I still will watch That's So Raven. That's a great show. The new one is terrible. That's So Raven, the original, very, very good show.
This right here is the guy who has the best draft. And I've got back-to-back picks to finish it off. And my next 2 picks are Austin and Ally. Great
overrated
show.
Overrated.
I loved it.
It's not better than That's So Raven. It's not.
It is.
It's not.
I take That's So Raven any day.
But it's not.
And for the last pick of mine, it is one more animated one, and it's the Fairly Odd Parents. And that show
fair. That show slapped.
I never watched
that show. Slapped hella.
I loved it.
That was a great show.
It was.
I am kind of lost here because I do not have any others on my list. I'm kind of trying to go off the dome. I'm looking up some online right now because you guys took all of mine. I thought I had a
have-
couple sleepers. I thought I had a couple
bunch
sleepers on there that wouldn't be taken, but I was sadly mistaken.
I
So
have a lot on my list. I don't know who to take. So we're in very different situations.
was Victorious taken or no?
No.
Okay, so that is one of my options. I'm not saying I'm going to take that, but that was a very good show, and I like because it was kind of like a more. It was kind of a more grown up kid show. Like it wasn't like Zoe 101. I think it was a little bit more grown up than that, which I liked. So I could watch it at an older age. I'm between that and Liv and Maddie is kind of where I'm bouncing off of because I really like Liv and Maddie. That was kind of like the end of my Disney era. That's when I was like 12 or so when I like stopped watching Disney. But I'm going to take Victorious. I think that's a really good pick. Fifth overall pick. I think that's a really solid value pick there.
Johnny, I'm very confused because you said you might take what was that show called? I can't think of what it's called. Henry Danger. You said you're going to take that, and you just never did.
Damn it.
I wasn't going to bring. I'm not
Can I
going
go
to take
back?
it.
Wait,
No,
can I go
no,
back?
you can't.
No,
You just
damn
fucked
it.
up.
Dude, why did I actually wait, I didn't even write that down.
No, you literally said
I
you're
didn't
going to
even
take
write
that.
it down.
You said you're going to take it first overall, and you
Okay,
never said
I
it.
want to make it clear though. I want to make it clear. Henry Danger is a top 3 kids show of all time. I didn't take it. It's an honorable mention. If we had, yeah, I feel bad now. It literally, I forgot to write it on my list. I was going straight off my list for a while, and I for some reason didn't write it down. No,
So I wasn't
that's
going to
what I
bring
should
it
have
up
taken.
before your pick, but
Yeah, that
I thought I'd
sucks.
call you out on that. I don't know how you
I
forgot that.
can't believe I forgot it. I was literally talking about it before the show. Yeah,
And
that
then
sucks.
I have 3 names on here. I have Sweet Life on deck. I think
I
that
had
could.
that one.
Not
I'm not.
better than the original, I'm
No,
afraid.
no, and I'm not going to give it all the credit. I have Liv and Maddie, but there's just no beating the absolute value of this last pick. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. Give me fucking Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Okay.
Everybody
whatever.
loves this fucking show.
L, that's an L.
Okay.
No.
Whatever, Parker.
Dude,
I
I
think
would
you just
go-
lost the draft on that.
No, I
think you
didn't.
just lost the draft on that.
Dude, childhood, when you were a kid,
Nobody is going to have nostalgia from watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
I would. You
They
kidding me?
won't.
They
won't.
I was with my I went with my girlfriend and her family to California, and we watched Mickey Mouse literally for 2 hours straight. I was into it. I loved it. And I mean, I
It's
obviously
not a terrible pick. It's not a terrible pick, but I wouldn't have gone there.
I could have also
would've gone to
taken
Henry
Jimmy
Danger.
Neutron strictly for Carl, because Carl is a legend. Carl Weezer.
Carl Weezer, Jimmy's mom.
Like that, he's just iconic. And I
He
was
is
very
funny.
close to going there, but I did not.
I can't believe I didn't take Henry Danger. I really am
I can't
so pissed
either.
about that.
And
I
I
don't know
would've
why
taken it-
I didn't write it on my list. The only reason I'm on this Google Doc and I had a bunch of lists, a bunch of shows written down, and I just didn't put Henry Danger, so it just didn't cross my mind, and I don't know why. But yeah, I should have had it.
Yeah,
Whatever.
That was a fumble. I respected you and did not take it, but yeah, that was definitely a fumble.
That's a fumble. It deserves to be in the top 15 shows because that's basically what we just did was the top 15 kids shows of all time. It deserves to be there. So that sucks.
Okay. Well, I think that's the end of the episode. I'm thinking about this. I'll have to run it past the other fellow co-hosts, but maybe doing a live episode coming up, so we can get your live questions, your live feedback, kind of discuss with the people that watch this show. I think that'd be a great idea. I have to talk to them about it, see what they think. Definitely more of a personal podcast. You get to hear what we say. You can throw us curveballs, whatever. But if we don't do that, still make sure, as always, if you want us to cover something, tell us in the comments. If you want to tell us we're stupid, tell us in the comments. If you want to tell us we're geniuses, tell us in the comments. If you just want to say anything about your personal life, just say it in the comments. And if you say in the comments, you might as well subscribe, because I appreciate that. I'm sure the other people do too. I think we're sitting at 8 strong subscribers.
Strong 8.
Strong 8. We've been at 8 for about 3 weeks now. There's just no growth here. But that will change with our upcoming TikTok takeover. That's what we're calling it, the upcoming TikTok takeover. It is in play. And with that being said, that is the end of the podcast, folks. And I'll see you next week.